Hey, good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Carl.
And I'm Nicole.
And together we are Around the Leaf Consulting. We almost lost our phone there. Or our camera there for a second.
So we are going to delve into, let me go ahead and set us up a little bit more. But today we are going to delve into a little bit more of the Fake It Till You Make It series. We were talking about influence today, how you can use techniques of faking it till you make it to increase your influence on others.
Absolutely. As more people come, we're going to get this thing
started. Yes. Let's get it started. Let's get it started
in here. All right.
So I don't even see us live yet.
Oh, I got it. We're there.
Are we there? Okay.
All right. So, my name is Carl. There we are. We're live.
All right. There we are. Okay, we're all set up.
All right. Well, now that we are up and running, again, we are talking about influence and really the benefit of it when it comes to faking it till you make it. And that's the focus of this whole week. That's what we are, that's where we're at.
Yep.
So
that's the theme for this week. And when we say fake it till you make it, we don't mean, any kind of like con artist type suspicious activities or anything, less than completely legit and sincere. So these are just techniques to kind of break you into a space that you may not necessarily naturally be able to go to. Maybe you didn't have it in your upbringing, or maybe you didn't have those people to mirror while you were growing up. So we actually have, that actually goes great into our first little topic, is mirroring those of influence. So when you're on your way to bettering yourself or becoming more successful or going towards a goal, it's the best to have a mentor. If you don't have necessarily those kind of people in your life who are striving for bigger goals or who are taking on a bigger plan for their life, then it's best to reach out and find someone who you can connect with, maybe physically, maybe emotionally, kind of relate to begin with, to begin to emulate or learn how to act around people.
Yeah. We did lose our camera on that one.
Technical difficulties. Stay with us.
Sorry for my forearm.
Beefy arms.
All right. So, how this one great way, there's this guy, and we were trying to find him, but it was on a podcast that we listened to
a while ago. Yeah.
A while ago. So he wanted to become a knight. He wanted to be Sir so-and-so. And so he wrote a letter to the Queen saying, why he wanted to be a knight and everything like that. And they, about a month later or so, he got a letter back saying, unfortunately, it was denied. He could not be knighted.
He could have politely declined on that one.
Yeah. So he figured out, he lives here in the United States, that he could go to to legally change his name and add Sir before his name. And so he used this again. He used this in order to, he was driven to get that influence, or really to get that as a part of his name.
Yeah, he figured that would be really cool for his name to have. So the Queen was like, okay, well, in order to gain or earn a knighthood, you can do a couple different things. And I think one was like save someone, or, be an influential person. And he said, well, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and go around the leaf and choose the easy route, which is just changing my name. And then people who spoke to him addressed him as, gosh, I wish I knew his name.
Yeah.
But with the title of Sir in front of his name, and thus he gained that influence, or he gained that that persona, you know, for other people to, I guess, look up to or react to.
Yeah. Yeah. And
In a social setting. I mean, it's understandable if someone came up to me and said, "I'm Sir blah blah blah," I'd be like, "Whoa, what did he do?" You know?
Yeah, exactly. And we're not saying to go out and change your name to Sir so and so, but again, driving home the prerequisite to all of these when it comes to fake it till you make it is you have to know what you want. You need to know your direction. You need to know what your goal is. Have it written down. We talk about in some of our earlier episodes on specifics of writing down goals and the importance of that.
Yeah.
And it's important to use that as your advantages. That's how you're going to know who you're going to be mirroring, who you're going to be able to.
This is ridiculous.
All right,
This has never happened. So basically, you want to know who you're trying to emulate. You want to know who you're trying to influence as well. Like, so you need to know who you need to be in order to gain the influence to go where you want to be. So, and part of that, it has a lot to do with the digital age. Because right now, everybody can be found online. And that part is largely the brand you're building online. Whether you know it or not, you are building a brand online. Your name is a brand. People who see your Facebook, they read your story, they see your pictures, they're going to get a certain feeling, they're going to get a certain first impression from, you know, looking up your name. Even, the first thing people do when they meet you, believe it or not, I mean, I'm sure you do it too, but they Google you. So you have to know what's out there, what comes up when they Google your name. And it's not about deceiving people, but it's about managing that impression that you have online. Because, I mean, you could look up your name and not even know that you have, like, you know, pictures from a not so appropriate night, or, you know, drinking, and, you know, and try to impress a client when you have that kind of first impression. It's going to be difficult to do some of that impression management. So you really managing your brand online and building it up. Like, for example, if you are in a certain field, then building up your brand by writing some blogs or becoming a thought leader in it. That would be a good way of doing so. So that whenever someone does Google your name, an article that has your name on it and has your information on it and has your knowledge about the subject on it is the first thing they see. Now that's going to make a big impression and a very lasting impression to someone who is looking up your name or wanting to connect with you.
Absolutely. Yes, Googling your name and what comes up is absolutely right. Whether you are an individual, you're a small business, and I believe, what was that, Natalia? Hey, Natalia. And whether you're a small business, just yourself, or even a part of a large business, really what you're doing online is you're establishing that brand. So if it's yourself, you are the brand. Your face is the brand. So if people are looking for you on LinkedIn or Twitter or Facebook, is the message similar? Is it achieving your goals? Is that, you know, is it adding value and not just, you know, subtracting?
Sure.
And
Yeah.
that personal brand is going to be, you know, basically what people see. And there's ways to do it. On Facebook here, there's ways to hide certain photos, you know, make them private and things like that. So, I mean, there is way to sculpt Some of it can take some time because, Facebook's been around for a good 10 plus years. So, you want to definitely, but you want to kind of police the content that's out there.
Yes, because it could be anything. It could be things from your high school years. It could be things that your friends have posted that they've tagged you in it that you don't necessarily want a future employer to see.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, I think it's 70% of resumes. Isn't that the percentage?
Yes.
70% of resumes get turned down automatically just by the hiring manager Googling your name and not liking what they see.
Yep.
And that's huge. I mean, that's 70% of good job opportunities you could have that are they just throw away your resume because they see that you don't have a responsible brand name online. And people don't want that connected to their company, really.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. And thanks for sharing this, Natalia. Appreciate
thank
it.
you.
Hey, Uncle Brian. How's it going?
Hi.
We're talking about influence and kind of faking it till you make it, really on personal branding. So, you're
not trying to put out a false you. You're just trying to police what people see of you. So if you're trying to portray a professional online, you need to Google your name and find out maybe what sites pop up. I mean, I found some interesting things. Just my YouTube site comes up, and I'm like, okay, everyone sees my kids opening presents or whatever on there, and I'm like, well, maybe my future client doesn't need to see that, so maybe I need to set that to private. Maybe I need to do something to change the algorithm so that doesn't show up when my name comes up. Right. And maybe I need to put something out there that can go a little more favored in the algorithm so that I look better in my client's eyes.
Yep, absolutely, yeah, and that goes with, and I remember what you were talking about. You were talking about job applicants, and somebody who's applying for a job, or you're networking, or you're meeting with a client.
Sure.
These are all things that somebody can look at your social media and judge you based on how you are in your personal life. Now, is that fair for job applicants? Is that even legal? That's a huge gray area. Technically it is illegal, right? Because if you, as a hiring manager, you see that somebody's married, could it be argued that somebody didn't choose you, or because of the color of your skin, or
family status, disability,
right? That they didn't choose you before meeting you. Well, sure, but could you prove that? That's going to be hard to do, right? So really, I mean, those things you're not going to be able to obviously change, but the things that you can change, inappropriate photos, maybe, maybe hiding some, now that we're maybe out of that political season, right? Maybe you said some things back in August that you're like, maybe, what, maybe I need to tone it down.
Hijacked.
Yeah, got a little emotionally hijacked, it was a rough 2016, right?
Yeah,
so ride that out, right? You can hide those, delete those, whatever you want to do, it's up to you. But definitely, as personal branding, especially if you're a small business owner, you pretty much are the brand of the company. Yeah. So when people search your company, your name's going to come up, and that personality will sell them before your brand and services do.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the last kind of point is when building influence is, and actually before we go to that, really with branding yourself, you're telling your story.
Sure.
So, you want to be able to tell your story, what's unique about you, what sets you apart from others. And that's really what all companies strive to do. And you can either do it from a personal level to say why you are who you are, what makes you tick, and why people, why you add value to people. That is one way to really enhance that brand, and yeah. So
yeah, I mean, when you're at a networking event, or and then you're meeting new people that that you don't necessarily know yet, but you want to gain that influence, or if you're working with people that you want to gain influence with, storytelling is a great tool in that.
right.
Because when you tell a story, then people can, they kind of become in it. It's like when people are reading a book, they become that character in that story.
Sure.
So in that sense, when you're telling a story to someone, people become emotionally connected with what you're saying. And especially if it has some kind of vulnerability to it, or some type of like a way they could help you with it, like you maybe asking a favor or getting an opinion. Those things create a bond when you're in a networking situation or in a work situation that actually builds influence over that person. But over that person.
Yeah, and it's really the quality of questions that you're asking that's going to set you apart. So we are having failure on our tripod.
Big time
today.
technical difficulties today. No.
There we go.
Okay, sorry, we're
Good
back.
catch. Good catch. They're going to definitely have to update our rig here.
Yes, definitely. Rigged out.
So, yeah. So you want to... man, I lost my thought trying to catch a camera.
Oh, yes, we're talking about like telling stories and connecting through stories.
Yeah.
Maybe connecting through ambitions.
Oh, questions.
Questions,
So
sure.
the quality of your question is really going to set you apart, because
Sure.
when you're in an area, whether you know it or not, somebody's either going to know more than you or they're not going to know more than you, and it's really how you ask those questions to really find out who your audience is, right? Who the person standing in front of you or the client sitting across from you, who they are in that discovery part, to be able to add that value to them. And when you're adding value, they're gonna feel
Wanna
like you are
reciprocate.
more, they're gonna like reciprocity, give that influence in their minds to you, like, oh man, they know what they're talking about, because by asking certain questions, you were able to extract some knowledge in their head, and then apply how you add value to that, instead of just going off the cuff trying to say whatever.
Going off of that, a really powerful tool when you're in a networking event or a party or something like that, and you're trying to meet people, is the beauty or the art of silence, or of listening.
Listening, yeah,
listening,
absolutely.
asking questions, asking what they're passionate about, asking what maybe their goal for this year is. Just kind of to connect on like that deeper emotional level, where then they feel like they're more connected to you, and they're more likely to feel better in your presence. Because in the end, people don't really, they may not remember what you've said to them. They may not remember what you wore. They might not remember what you look like even. All they remember is how you made them feel.
Yeah, absolutely.
At the end of a conversation or an interaction.
Good or bad.
Yeah, good or bad, absolutely.
Right. And that kind of goes right into our point, our last point here, which is connect with people emotionally, right? That's how you can build influence. Hey, Amy and Rick, welcome.
Hi.
Talking about influence. The last point is connect with people emotionally, because that's how you build that vulnerability too.
Absolutely.
You kind of exchange this vulnerability, and you're able to kind of that's how you can like I said, asking those questions and then building that bond, building that emotional connection that can then build influence.
Yeah. And what's interesting about it is it's all, again, backed in science. Because when you're speaking to someone and they get passionate about something, or they start talking about like something they're into, or you, like I said, ask those deeper questions like what are they passionate about? What are their goals for this year? you tap into their emotions, and what that does is it releases that lovely
Dopamine.
dopamine. So it's the happy drug, and people get excited about that. So that actually builds a connection that way as well, and gives you a more favorable view in their perception.
Yes.
So, and that's really important.
Right, and that's the level. I mean, that dopamine is what gives you that kind of that high feeling,
Yeah.
right? And so, hey Maria, welcome.
Welcome.
That gives them that kind of high feeling, and everybody loves that euphoric kind of feeling,
Yeah.
right? There's, and that's really where you connect. They feel like, oh man, this person really knows me, really connect. Like they're here to help me. And even if you know more than they do, or they know more than you, like if you're able to help somebody solve a problem, even though they may be more knowledgeable than you, like you've made their day. That you have that influence, and then you get that testimonial, and you have their backing.
Or if you're able to get someone to feel like they're helping you solve a problem, you also get that influence. Because it's
Right.
all about the relationship bonding. And they may also build influence over you, but that's kind of how it goes. It
And that might be
reciprocates.
that might be how you're adding value, is you're giving them the opportunity to part knowledge, give knowledge,
Sure.
especially if they're passing down generational kind of wisdom, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
Is by giving them kind of the platform to do that. And you're just kind of taking it in, right? And you're an
Sure.
audience, you're actively participating. Really, wow, like that,
Yeah.
laughing along, and just building that bond will increase that influence. And again, that's how you can fake it till you make it. If you really don't have much to say, is just listen. Like you were saying,
Yeah.
listening.
Ask questions and listen.
Become the better listener, and you're going to be able to really have that success.
Absolutely. And the huge plus side of this is when you do. Oh, thank you, Maria. We might, I don't know. But the plus side of that as well is that you never know what you're going to learn. Because here you're talking about an industry professional who's been in the industry way longer than you have, who's had experiences that maybe you haven't encountered yet, or maybe that you're dealing with right now. And maybe you will end up learning something that will help you, 2 days, 2 months, 2 years from now. Yeah. That it's invaluable information. And if you would have sat there and tooted your own horn instead and talked about, oh, well, I know this, I know that, then that person might not feel like they need to open up to you in that way.
Yep.
So it's kind of like a, I don't know.
It's a dance,
yeah,
right?
it
It's
really
a
is
delicate
like
dance in networking.
dance.
It
It's
is
a dance.
that dance. Maybe it's a waltz. I don't know. 1, 2, 3.
I don't know what that
1,
is.
2, I don't know what that is either. The box shuffle. I don't know.
Box shuffle.
The two-step.
Yeah. You stick to that.
I will. That's what I'm good at. No,
There
sticking
you
to
go.
the two-step.
But yeah, I mean it's, and where was I gonna go with this? Goodness.
Well, while we're doing that, we'll jump into. I feel like that is this from Natalia. I feel like that is what humankind is lacking: human interaction and connection. And we got that's true. Absolutely, that human connection is what's lacking.
Yeah, I mean there's no replacing that person to person, in person type of interaction. And the way the world is going to more of a digital platform. Actually, I was just talking to someone the other day about this, and they were upset that they learned something about their family on Facebook, and they were not happy with this. I believe she was baby boomer type generation around that.
Who, the person that we interacted with?
Yeah, the person.
It
who
was
said
Gen
that.
X. Gen X.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Early Gen X, but even still.
I'm not sure we're talking about the same person, but either way, And they were kind of saddened that they could learn something like that on Facebook, and it's true. Like everything, and with the invites coming out, they're only going on Facebook invite.
Yeah.
That it's taken a lot of the personal touch out of a lot of things, and that's kind of something we have to get used to, because here the millennials, the millennial generation, is coming around, and they've never not had technology in their life.
Right.
And they're kind of facing this kind of issue where they have to turn to technology in social situations where they're not comfortable, or they don't have these moments of discomfort to be able to truly realize their strength in social settings, or in bonding or friendship.
Right.
Because their friendships are kind of topical. They're not very deep in the digital age.
That's fair. I mean, in real life, it's tough to just throw out an emoji, it just, maybe someday soon, right? The next generation, you can emoji
Sure.
it up. But
I'm waiting for the Snapchat filter.
yeah, I
See
thought I
everything.
heard something about
Snapchat
that.
filter.
Yeah, working on that.
It's interesting the way society is evolving, because it's kind of like I know this is way off topic, but there's kind of like a society offline and a society online. And the problem with just forgetting online altogether is that then these Gen X or millennials or the next generation, which is our children, they miss out a lot on society, on what's going on these interactions happening with their schoolmates. I'm sure when my kids even get to grade school, well, Bella's there now, but
Right.
but
All of
they're
us.
going to want to be on some kind of social network, because that's where their friends are. And it's going to be difficult to maintain relationships without the digital part of it, which is sad, because human interaction is needed. It is physiologically needed for the human body. That's what makes us different. Well, not fully different, because a lot of animals need that as well, but
But I mean, it
It's
is a
unique.
physiological
Yeah.
need of the human body
Yeah.
to have that kind of touch, right? And so whether it's a connection, to have that connection, which was what in that question or that comment. And if in this digital age now, there are ways to make impact. Digital age has opened up where, live shows like this where we can connect.
Yeah.
Now, while
I like Facebook Live.
not the same, right, as actually being in the room and everyone's invited with, we're having a party this Saturday.
Yes.
Come on over. From wherever you are. Yeah. If you're in Milwaukee, start driving now. You'll make
You'll
it.
make it, yeah.
But, even the digital age, if used properly and correctly, you can still have that connection. You can still have that, but it's going to be slightly different, and you have to know what the rules are, kind of like, the difference between talking on a phone to text messages.
Yes.
The tone deaf dangers of text messaging,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Can put any kind of, I've been victim of tone deaf texting where it was the tone, it was taken way, not where I was intending it to go. But
The thumbs up will never be taken.
thumbs up,
taken
hey, the the big thumbs up, right? That kind of sound effects.
Yeah. That's what we needed.
That kind of takes it to a different level, but you just kind of have to know what the rules are
Yeah.
with engagement, but it will never replace completely that human connection and human interaction, but it can be still used.
Yeah. What people need to start learning how to do is to use the digital to connect to the physical, I guess you could say that, the physical, the real world, is to use it to do things like organize in-person meetings instead of keeping it solely online. And that kind of training kind of escapes us because we were in that transition, and the transition happened so quickly that there was really no way of kind of policing it. So now everyone's stuck to their phone, and they don't necessarily know why. Or, you know, it's kind of a, you know, we want to, it's a blessing because we can keep up with everyone, like our families are up north, and it's an absolute blessing because we can do that. But at the same time, it robs that that authenticity of the relationship. You know, instead of calling someone and saying Merry Christmas, you just say Merry Christmas on their wall and go about your day. You know, instead of finding out what's going on and everything like that, it's a nicety. It's become just kind of a nicety. And here Maria says, like you said, not being able to face those situations in person is making kids lack social skills that they can put to use at work.
Right.
And I completely agree.
Yeah, I do agree with that. I think though there's also I'm almost wondering if, because there is that kind of divide, if there will be more at home work, you know, where people they feel socially awkward, so they strive to either work from home.
Well, I mean, look at school already.
Sure, with
Now you have online grade school, online high school. It's already starting, even from a young age.
Sure.
And I feel like it's not where human beings should be going. It's definitely further away from our actual nature, in that we do need those human interaction. We do need those learning moments. We do need that social awkwardness to be able to learn how to relate to one another.
Right. And it's funny, Rick. Rick says technology keeps us close to people far away, so from people up close. So basically, keeping in touch with those who are, you know, miles away instead of the people who are down the block. And speaking of people who are right across the street, hello, Mildred, welcome.
Hi, Mildred.
It's a neighbor.
Yep.
And so, you're right. Technology has created this where, because you have the ability to reach out that far, sometimes you forget what's in your own backyard.
Sure.
And we become this. I remember, I don't know which. I think it was a birthday party, maybe like 4 years ago, 3-4 years ago. Along the couch, there was just a bunch of people sitting there on their phones, you know, and I took a picture and I was like, oh, we're partying now. And new generation, you know, everybody's sitting like together, but yet everyone was on their phone.
Sure.
And much to what we were saying, what happened is that 2008 was when the first smartphone was released. And that was also when the the market crashed and everyone went crazy. So everyone was worried about their jobs and everything like that, and total technology just kind of swept through, and you know, here we are, almost coming up on 9 years later, and it's definitely changed. It's definitely changed. So,
all right,
Natalia
said, which can make it difficult for people to even understand influence and the social aspect of it. Yes, that is why we're doing these videos, because we've done a lot of extensive studies in these areas, and we feel like what we've learned is valuable, and what we've learned everybody should know, really. We've read a lot of books, listened to a lot of podcasts. We just really self-learn, and we love to share knowledge. We love to talk to people about things, and that's kind of what we're doing here.
Right, yes. Maria says, and sadly, a special connection is sometimes what makes people keep their job, like my husband, who wants to, do great in his job and kind of further himself for promotion, and and things like that. And thank you. You're awesome too.
Yes, thank you.
Food for
That's
the
super
brain
sweet.
before bed. Yeah, and that's kind of what we were talking about as far as for promotions and different things like that is by adopting that personal brand, setting yourself up as a brand. Everything, from the photos you post online to the things that you share, the conversations that you have, everything is, it's not like you're becoming a fake person.
No.
It's just, it's
policing what other
it's
people
policing
see
kind of what
of
you're
you.
talking about and saying, to kind of for the audience that you have, and
For example, I'm not sure what. Good night.
yes,
Thanks
you're
for
awesome.
tuning in.
You're awesome too.
Yeah, stay awesome. So, like, for example, your husband, Maria, I'm not sure, like, of course, I don't know which field he's in or which industry he's in, but one thing he could do is to become more involved in that industry and kind of show his knowledge in that space. Not necessarily at the company, but outside of the company. Like maybe he could write a guest blog, or maybe he could join some of the groups on LinkedIn. Little things like that can be noticed and will be noticed by an employer because they'll see that you're trying to work towards something and you have ambitions of becoming better at something, and that will translate to promotions and more likability, basically.
I was just about to say that, yeah, people want to help people that they like. And if they don't know them or, just doing a good job is not necessarily something that stands out.
Yes.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Being at the same company for 15 years doesn't necessarily mean
You're going to get,
you're liked or noticed, In fact, there's been a new trend where being at the same company for long periods of time is viewed as being lazy.
Yeah.
That you're not wanting to go other places to gain that knowledge and building yourself up. You're just kind of sitting and being comfortable. Now,
and companies are viewing that way as well.
Correct. And that's a danger because not too long ago it was, the push, get into a good company, get that pension, stay 30 years, and
Get
then
the
you're
gold
good.
watch and
Yeah, get to go watch the pen, the cake, and the send off.
Yeah.
And it's not that way. Everything's kind of changed, and it's just kind of the way it is. But one thing that hasn't changed, even in those cases, are that likability. And if you have that likability, you're able to know what those, the people like, then you're able to, add that value back, and you'll be noticed.
Sure. Yeah.
So again, just to
kind of got way off topic
did,
there, but we appreciate you guys for staying with us.
Yes, and interacting, we love that. We love that. That's why we do these live, because we like that interaction. So just to recap, a couple the ways to fake it till you make it with influence, as far as that, is to mirroring, build up your brand, and then connecting with people on an emotional level. And those ways can really set you apart. You're going to be adding that value, asking those quality questions, and that's how you can build your influence. And
by building the relationships and giving them basically something to connect with and something to identify with. And that will, even if you haven't necessarily done it before, just try a couple of things on the list. We can go ahead and put a list together if you'd like. We'll go ahead and put a list together if you go to our website, aroundtheleaf.com, and subscribe, put your email there, and we'll go ahead and send you that list. We'll go ahead and send you that list, and we'll give you reminders of when we're going live and when we're doing our special little shows.
Put influence in the comments. Other ways to connect with us and stay with us. We do these Monday through Friday, currently right now, And we'll be doing another one tomorrow, same time, same place. So make sure you're liking this page as well as turning on the notifications when we go live. That will remind you wherever you are. It'll pop up there in your feed and let you know that we're live. And then that way you can jump on again and get some more food before you go to bed, as Maria said.
Food for thought.
Food for thought. So.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's it. Again, continue to leave comments. We will keep up and answer them.
Yep. Like, comment, share, and we had a great time.
Yes.
We loved the interaction, and we hope to see you tomorrow.
Yep.
Good
See ya.
night.
Good night.